Well, welcome back to another edition of Opposite Saxes.
I know. I was testing you.
You were testing me?
Yeah.
No.
It's Thursday.
I was really throwing the line out to you
I know.
for you to say
I know.
another edition of,
I get
and
it.
you left me hanging
It's
there.
Thursday at 1 o'clock. I love leaving it hanging there sometimes.
Yes, yes, you
I
do.
love to see what you come up with.
Yeah, yeah, you like to just let me drop off.
Yeah, drop off. Okay.
Well, I
Oh,
might be able to tell by the background behind us, and it's football season.
yippee.
Are you ready for some football?
Nope.
Actually, sometimes I think you don't mind football season because you know that if there's a good game and I'm going to sit down and watch the game, that
Yes.
means you got the next few hours to do whatever you want to do.
Well, it helps. I'm not going to lie, but no, I mean, I do. It's a terrible thing to say, but I guess I gravitate to a couple of the teams that I like.
Well, yeah, I mean,
and then past that, it's like,
yeah, we live in Texas, and I mean, we follow some of the teams that we've followed over the years, but we do follow the Cowboys now,
Yeah,
and maybe
absolutely.
because every year we think maybe this is the year. It's kind of like
What's
when
gonna
we lived
happen,
in Chicago,
Yeah,
and we always used to end up saying, "Wait till next year."
you're right. Right.
You know, so they say that this year might be again the year for the Cowboys, but they say that about all the
But
other
it used to be just on Sundays,
teams.
right?
Well, then they did
Monday night.
Monday Night Football.
Monday night. Well, now we've got Thursday night and sometimes Tuesday or Wednesday.
And sometimes there's even a special Friday game that is in another country.
It's constant.
Or something. Yeah. And then of course Texas is a huge high school football state. And we have probably over the weekend from Thursday, Friday, Saturdays, and Sundays, there are televised local high school games.
Yes. And it's great. It's a great sport. I'm not sure. I should say I'm happy that Jeremy never wanted to go into football. It worries me when I see the kids out there, when I see what can happen. I'm glad they've come up with some extra padding, some better helmets.
Well, they changed some of the rules.
Yeah, and they've changed some of the rules
a lot over the years, and the critics say that American football is probably one of the most dangerous sports that there is. And these guys, these football players, they work their butts off at conditioning to make sure they're ready for the game. But the slightest miscalculation can cost them their career.
Well, look at, and I don't know the famous football player's name, whose son, they just found a genetic predisposition for heart in him. He's young. This is his first year in pro ball, I think. And thin, exercises, takes care of himself. The whole family does. But it just happened. And he had a heart attack.
Yeah. And look, that can happen in any sport.
Right.
There's always, you always find the runners that are just in super good shape, zero body fat.
Right.
They'll just drop on a course and die, or but over the years, I mean, I remember growing up where football, it was just a battle of the fittest, and every time the ball was snapped, it was crunch time. Well, they've improved the shoulder pads. Very often you'll see a lot of the players, especially linemen, will be wearing extra neck padding and all, because that initial one-on-one contact. And of course, really the thing that has changed a lot of the rules has been concussions over the last so many years.
Look at the brain problem.
Right. And that's why they it's like a lot of other things we talk about, is that you don't necessarily get the findings of this immediately.
Right.
It's sometimes 10, 20 years later. And they're finding is some of those pro players from back in the 60s and the 70s now can't walk.
That's right.
They have trouble with dementia,
And speech.
and a lot of it is due to those crushing blows that
Right,
they
right.
suffered when they were playing ball. The I have to give credit to the Football Federation, because they have changed a lot of rules. For instance, a player can be thrown out of a game for spiking. I mean, going head to head purposely. In other words, to stop a player,
Yeah.
he just puts his head down and goes
He rams.
helmet to helmet. That is not permitted anymore. It could cost a guy
No.
not only be thrown out of a game, but it could cause him a disqualification for a few games.
Good for them on that.
And I think it's, everybody says, come on, you're taking the thing away from the game. It's like hockey. Why do you want to stop the fights in hockey? That's part of the game. Well, sometimes it can end up with
Very bad
life lingering,
consequences.
injuries. Yeah.
Yeah.
But it's the thrill of football. I think, and there are people that will go to football games just for the tailgate parties.
Oh, definitely. We saw them when we
we-
went to our
we-
one and only in-person football game.
We've been to a couple of pro games. Frankly, I think the prices have gotten way out of range. For the average Joe that wants to go see a pro game, you're better off sitting on a comfortable couch and you're right on the 50-yard line.
Right.
You don't miss a bit of the action. But there are people that literally set up widescreen TVs.
They do.
And barbecue pits,
right?
Tents, coolers, everything.
It's amazing, and they sit there not far from where they could have a seat.
They go to the game, they sit in the parking lot, they enjoy the whole game, then they pack everything up and they drive out of the parking lot and go home.
Well, originally I thought, okay, they're going there, they're gonna have some beer, some sandwiches, they sit on the back of their cars, whatever. These people, I mean, it's
an outing.
It is.
And
they pay for their parking.
Right, yes, and they get there like 5 hours early, because that's my space. You don't even think about parking in my space.
So what is it, $150 to park? I think when we went, it was like 75.
Yeah. Or the remote lots are like 50.
Oh, but they don't want to be in a remote lot.
But I mean, sometimes
for those that want to party.
Yeah, right.
They want to be they want to be seen.
Yeah. And it's almost like a cult.
Yes.
It is. And every team, when you watch the TV coverage, it's always fascinating to see the extent that some of the fans go to with the makeup and the costumes to go into into the stadium, no matter what the team is. And I always thought, like, early in the season, some of these guys are wearing these capes and these huge helmet covering it, and it's like 90 degrees in the stadium, and you figure but hey, don't mess with it, because that's part of the game.
Yeah, it's amazing. The other thing that I don't really understand is the fantasy football.
I don't quite understand it either.
We have a friend whose son has made a career out of this and has brought up his whole family on fantasy football. Although he's in charge of something regarding fantasy football, so I guess that must be it. And he does some sports analysis.
It is a business, and what they do is they analyze all the teams, all the players, and what fantasy football, just like fantasy baseball and basketball and everything, is if you want to get into this fantasy, sporting business and all, you pick out your ideal dream team, or it can also be with fantasy football, you can pick who you believe is going to win each matchup during the year. Doesn't necessarily mean that you pick a team that's going to go to the Super Bowl, but you pick each week, you pick what teams are going to beat what teams. And then based on the percentages, you can earn big money.
And I guess they do.
And they do. It's kind of a form of gambling.
Yeah.
But there are some people that will put as much time and effort into the fantasy
Mhm.
part of the game as they do the real part of the game.
Amazing.
I will admit that it is exciting to go to a game in person. Uh, I should say we've been to a few professional football
No, we
games,
haven't.
but well, we have.
I've been to one. Maybe you've been to
Well, we
more.
went
I have not
when
been.
we lived in South Florida. We went to a few Dolphins games.
I don't think I did.
But the cost, I would really much rather go to a college game. We used to go to the University of Miami football games.
Yeah,
And
that we did.
my
That we did.
sister and brother-in-law go to the Indiana University games.
Right.
And college football games, I think, are getting as exciting as professional ball.
Yes.
But now you're down to the high school level.
Yeah.
And I know around the country it's big, it certainly is in Texas. The college and the high school football scene in the state of Texas is amazing. And there's 30,000 seat high school arenas now.
I know.
It's amazing. You'll drive around and you will see some of the most professional stadiums. I would love to get up into the press box of some of these places.
High schools. I mean, college is one thing, but the high schools, when we see them, it's astounding.
Well, it's like a stepping stone.
I suppose
they
so.
put a lot of effort into the high schools because the college scouts are out there looking at these high school players in order to recruit them for college ball.
Sure.
And yet, with all the effort that these kids put into football, a very small percentage of them make it to the pros.
Yeah. But and the other aspect of it that you don't think about are the families and the money and the time that they put into it.
Well, sure. I mean, that's true of most sports for practices and scrimmage games. Some of these kids have to get to high school at the crack of dawn for a practice before school. Then after school, they either have another practice or they have a game. And they travel now too, because in high school they travel all over the state to play, just like colleges travel all over the country, as well as the pros do. That's the part of it that I think I would have the hardest time with, is that constant traveling. I mean, football, granted,
as a player or as a parent.
Well, as a player or a fan, there are some people that will follow their teams everywhere. Football, they basically play once a week. I mean, in basketball or something, they may play 2-3 times a week.
Right.
Soccer is the same. Other sports could have 2-3 games in a week, and it could be a home game, it could be an away game. But the fascination is, and the part that I think is the best part of professional football, is the escape from reality. I mean, you work all week long, and it's kind of a way to just chill out. And
it's the same with any sport. Soccer, baseball, basketball.
That's true. That's following the sports, either playing the sports or following the sports, just gives you an opportunity to just chill out.
Actually, I thought you were going to say the best part about it is as the players retire, and then you don't see them for a little while after they retire from pro ball, but then you see them on a commercial.
Oh
my God, these guys,
listen,
they are funny.
Most of them
are funny.
They play hard to get the biggest payday they can from the team that they play for. But they're also out there looking at the endorsements, because if they get the endorsements while they're playing ball, that's great. But they know that once they retire, that's where they're and sometimes they're going to end up making more money off the field than they do on the field. I mean, probably the greatest player ever was Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan made real big bucks playing basketball, but afterwards, what he got from Nike and from everybody else was incredible.
Yeah, you're right.
and we could do a whole show just on the sales of merchandise.
Oh,
You know, the clothing and the gear and everything that people spend to follow their favorite players and their
and that
favorite
goes
teams.
on and on to infinity. They still get all of these perks, and they get the residuals,
Sure.
and it's amazing.
And you go out and you spend $100 for a jersey for your favorite player, and next season he gets traded.
There you go. That's yeah, you're right.
So you're
You're
better
right.
off buying the generic
Yeah,
generic
a
team
t-shirt.
shirt rather than a specific,
or buy the t-shirt.
or put your name on the on the jersey. Then it's always good.
Well, I hope everybody is a winner.
Yep.
For football this year.
Go out there, get ready for some football, throw some steaks on the grill, and all chill that beer and the drinks and all. And whether you're going to tailgate, you're going into the stadium, you're just going to stay home, just get out there and enjoy the season.
Have fun, but do it safely.
Yep. And come back and see us again next Thursday.
Bye.
Okay? We'll be here. Bye.